Welcome to the Guerrilla Social Work Podcast, your crackerjack clinical insurgents pitting evidence against anecdotes. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and anyone else who just snuck into the room, welcome to the Guerrilla Social Work Podcast. Get ready to swing through the vines of forensic clinical treatment with your hosts, Jeff, Ginger Nymph Moore, and Mace Warren. Jeff and Mace are two fearless forensic psychotherapists here to tackle the wildest, weirdest, and most wonderful aspects of working in the criminal justice system. In today's podcast, we welcome Officer Jackson Daniels to discuss his mission in blending counseling and law enforcement and bringing it to the front lines of the dark underbelly of society. Our 5-star rating today is brought to you by Wolfblood 8000. Are you tired of being tired? Are you out of shape? Well, have we got the solution for you? Introducing Wolfblood 8000. It's not your ordinary supplement. It's the turbo booster your fitness routine has been craving. It's like a shot of motivation straight to your muscles. Let's be honest. Who needs exercise when you can just pop a pill? It's like a personal trainer in a bottle. I mean, just imagine. You can have those six-packs abs without ever doing a single sit-up. But wait, there's more. If you order now, we'll throw in a special Binge Buster blend, absolutely free. That means you can enjoy all the pizza, fries, and ice cream you want without gaining an ounce. It's magic. Now, some people might say, well, is this safe? Our team of scientists has assured us that Wolfblood 8000 is totally, maybe, sorta safe. Side effects may include uncontrollable bicep flexing, sudden bursts of energy, and the inexplicable urge to high-five strangers. Don't miss out on this incredible opportunity. Visit our website, www.wolfblood8000gottahaveitplease.com, and use the promo code 5-star rating to get 10% off your first order. Wolfblood 8000, because who needs hard work when you can have shortcuts? And now, on with the show.
Can kind of show something. I guess we'll see what we expect, but it'd also be good to get into what even got you into policing, what made you want to do it. Oh, for sure. Things like that. Cool, awesome.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, we're already rolling, so
that's what we'll talk about right now.
That was but dude, hey, before we got into that, I had something I needed to show you, and Jackson, you'll love this too. Sure. I just wanted to get a professional opinion on this. Okay?
Why are you asking us?
Well, because we're just three dudes, right? There's a lot of testosterone floating around in this room.
I'm a professional dude.
Right. So, okay, there was once upon a time when I was a wee lad, right? Mm-hmm. And I would watch a commercial, and it had two women walking on a beach, and they were talking about something I really didn't know about. And not till I became later in my teens did I realize that was a feminine hygiene commercial, right?
Sure.
And I liked the mystery. I liked the mystery that was involved in the feminine hygiene commercials. And I'm just gonna say things are a little different now, okay? Because I wanted to show you guys a little something here. And again, Jackson, police officer, Jeff, you're a therapist. We're all three grown men. I want to get a professional opinion on this. And then you guys let me know what you think about this here.
Just take a pea-sized amount and apply it like a lotion to your privates.
Oh,
then
boy.
kiss your stinky butt goodbye.
Goodbye.
Ah! No one likes odor below the belt. Whether you're at the gym getting free samples of butt incense, at the office inhaling your own front fumes, or in bed doing some stinky-winky. No, not the telephone.
This
Your
commercial, by the way. This is just commercial.
So why isn't there deodorant for privates? Now there is with Lumi, the only natural deodorant you can safely use on your private parts. Lumi's clinically proven to eliminate odor all day. And if you're using your privates all day, good for you. Lumi's been proven to control odor for 72 hours. Lumi works by stopping odor at the source, bacteria. Most crotch and butt smells come from bacteria on the skin, breaking down fluids and farting out odor. Lumi stops them from eating so they can't fart. Now they're polite germs.
Hello, Governor. I'm not
Lumi was created by an OBGYN to be totally...
Dude, I love everything is characterized by some little gremlin too nowadays. Yeah. It's like the Mucinex got gremlins in your nose, or that one that's below your toenail that rips your toenail off.
Mucinex,
when you have that. I'm like, damn, dude.
It's safe and effective. It's made with gentle ingredients and only goes on the outside, not the inside. Stop putting things inside. And despite what the douchebags tell you, the outside is where the odor is anyway. Hey, those are mine. You have enough douchebags in your life, Cheryl. Lumi is natural and safe, even for the most sensitive parts of the body, like the ones men can't find. Just take a pea-sized amount and apply it like a lotion to your
I feel like it's a little too on the nose, you know? Like,
Goodbye.
So if your junk smells so awful, you're bad at hide and seek, click the link below to try Lumi today. If you don't love it, you can send it back for a full refund. No questions asked. No one wants to ask questions about your privates, Jeremy. But don't take my word for it. Here are strangers talking about their privates over the internet for free. Lumi is the best deodorant I have found for those sweaty folds, cracks, and crevices. I applied Lumi yesterday to the groin area, and 24 hours later, I'm still odor-free. Lumi
Gross.
is hands down the best. Wonderful for after workouts or before intimacy. Or both if intimacy is a workout. And because
How long is this commercial?
it's like a minute 30, I think.
Well, main thing is I can't really get what it's talking about. Like, what's it marketing? I can't tell.
Well,
You know, I can't, like, it needs to be a little more on the nose for me, so to speak. What is this even selling?
Yeah,
I don't
it's
even
kind of
know.
like you don't even know what is it.
Yeah.
Dude, I was watching that and I was like, damn, like, can you get any more obvious than that? Like, I mean, and it's like, if you were dating a young lady for the first time and you're sitting watching that thing, like, how uncomfortable you both would be. Just sit, like, I'd be like, you know, it'd just be, I don't know. And I love how it's like the first safe deodorant to put. I was like, safe? Geez, like, what makes it safer than like other deodorant, right?
Little on the nose.
Yeah, exactly. Also, the other thing I was thinking was like, imagine if you're her agent, right? And you're like, hey, Cheryl, I got you a part. You're going to be the stinky crotch lady in the Lumi commercial. Like, can you imagine some of the conversations these agents have with like their talent? Like, if you were cast in the Human Centipede and you were the caboose, like, you're okay, we got you a part. It's not Fast and Furious 9, but it's an indie film, you know, but and then you as the star are going to, that's on your resume, like, oh, I was the caboose on Human Centipede. Damn, dude. Well, I thought we'd start off with some good film because, because Jackson's brought us some pretty sweet film here today too.
Yeah, I don't know how you follow that.
Yeah.
Lumi Bit. And Lumi Bits is a sponsor, by the way.
I have set the bar rather high for today. So we'll get into that. So cool. Well, yeah. So Jeff, you want to introduce our guest today?
Yeah, this is Mr. Jackson Dunleap.
Are you hot, bro?
Am I sweating pretty bad?
Yeah,
I feel like I'm sweating.
What is it? Just you were hurrying?
Yeah, I got done at the gym too.
Oh, okay, that's what it is. Did you put some Lumi on before you came?
You tell me. Yeah, so I thought you'd be an interesting guest to bring on, as you have two very interesting career paths that are now intersecting. You know, is it called a police officer constable, or what's what is your exact title in addition to a soon to be alpha intern?
Right. So we're called deputy constables. So basically we're sworn deputies, but we're constables. So what we do is we don't do like the road stuff. Like I was on the road previously for 9 months, but what we do is courts, we do evictions, warrants, we kind of do the in-house stuff that not a lot of people know about, that needs to happen. It's kind of a way to describe it is kind of when someone's arrested or something like that. It's kind of the ending of it, and that's kind of what we're there for. And we also protect judges and stuff like that. So that's kind of
protect like in court, or like getting like to and from. What do you mean protect judges?
In court. We run about. I'm up here in the north section, so we run about 4 courts. So we're protecting judges, prosecutors, judges, clerks.
Is that similar to like a bailiff?
Yeah. So a constable does do bailiff duties. There's kind of a lot that a constable kind of throws around. Like we're bailiffs. We also can do evictions. There's also a part of the company that does security. So if we want to just get easy overtime, we'll do that.
Constable sounds like something out of like the Sherlock Holmes days.
It sounds British.
Yeah,
that's what
it is.
Yep.
Do you ever serve people?
So you can
Like on the dance floor?
Oh, I do got some moves.
That'd be so funny if you like
moves,
served them and then served them.
Sorry to,
You're like a
bad jokes.
really good dancer. Well, no, that's that. Oh, because like sometimes like you have to trick people into serving them, right? Like you've ever seen?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if that's really how it works,
Yeah.
but sometimes you like if they're like, oh, I never got served.
Like we got you a part on a Lume Bits commercial.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but no. Like this is how I picture it, dude. That's a good movie. Like you're well, maybe it's just a part movie, I guess. But if you like were really good dancer, right, street performer dancer,
yeah.
and you just got the attention of somebody, and you dancing in front of them, and then they're asking for like, then you put your hand out for a tip, and then they give you a tip, and then you serve them at the same time. You've been served twice. Thanks for the tip, son.
So is that what you did?
I mean, I don't know if it's what I did, but I don't know everybody.
Yeah. If I was a constable, that's what I'd do, and then I'd get fired in the next day, especially because I'm not a good dancer.
No. So like, I mean, this is an interesting time to be a cop.
It is.
It's and there's I'll actually talk about the intersection between policing and mental health treatment a bit here, but like again, I have a lot of friends that are police officers, and some of them are. They've worked their way up the chain a bit. Mm-hmm. And then I have some that have gone on the way out that have retired recently, saying that today's modern day, I guess, feel like society's feel towards police officers is so unfriendly and rough and vicious that they got out of it. And I've talked to some people, again, just friends of mine that say like, this one buddy of mine, I'll leave his name out, but he says, he goes, my nephew, he's been wanting to be a police officer all along and wanted to follow in my footsteps. And now I'm telling him, go a different direction. It's not for, and so you're like going the other direction. You stepped into it. What got you into wanting to be a police officer?
If you don't stop touching that mic, I'm going to kill you.
I can't do this.
Do you know how much noise that's making right now? Oh, I guarantee it is.
Listeners,
you can't hear it in
I
your
am
headphones, but I promise you, you're killing me.
Mace is touching my microphone.
Yeah. Just watch YouTube videos. Not true.
No, absolutely. So I always wanted to be a therapist. That was my goal. So, after when I was getting my bachelor's, the marshals actually came in and talked because I was minoring in criminal justice. And I always loved criminal justice. And then one day I just wanted to do both. So I chose to, instead of, I took a year off to pursue law enforcement and stuff like that. So I pursued it, got there. I was super interested in it, not only because a big group, Black Lives Matter, right? A lot of people, I kind of want to be kind of a beacon of light for my culture and kind of show them that cops aren't all that bad, right? There's not a there can be some bad cops out there. There can be some good cops, but just kind of show them that, hey, I'm here for you. I want to try to help you. I want to try to show you that, it's law enforcement itself is, we're here for you. I don't want them to be against us. And in Utah, there's not a lot of African-American cops. There's, I think
you don't say.
right. I think there's 3 of us in Weber County. And when I was on patrol, there was only 2 of us, Clinton and Clearfield. That was about it. So I kind of wanted just to, and then, jumping back to my birth family, and my birth dad's side, the first African-American cop for Minneapolis is related to my family. But I didn't know that. I knew that after I joined, and then kind of found my birth dad's side, and then it kind of told me that, policing kind of runs in the family, and I didn't know that. So that could be another reason why I wanted to get into it. Because it was just kind of in the genes. And
so it's a lot of cops. They're like dads was cops, grandpa was cops. And that's so there's kind of a family birthright, you could say, to that. But then also the reasons that you were getting into it sound like pretty benevolent and good in the first place. I remember I once upon a time thought about becoming a cop, And it was right after I watched Training Day, and I was like, hell yeah.
You were wanting to be like Denzel's character.
All the
weren't
wrong
you?
reasons.
Yeah. Yeah.
If that's what's being a cop, is like, sign me up, dude.
No, absolutely.
It's like the worst reasons ever. Jackson's like, I want to help people.
Yeah. I want to get involved in the drug gang.
Yeah, I want to rob drug dealers, shoot people at will. That sounds great.
Dude, so what year? So you're talking about, with Black Lives Matter and kind of their position on policing, and you wanting to maybe create like maybe an opposite talking point for your culture. Like
Right.
what year? So I mean, the George Floyd stuff kicked off May of 2020. When did you get into policing?
I got started academy June of 2021.
Oh, so you like cannonballed right into the deep end.
I
So
did.
okay, I was wondering if you joined maybe slightly before everything really hit a fevered temperature, but you were right in the middle of it.
Right.
What's the reception been among just people other Black people? What's it been like?
I think it's been like when I was on patrol. Sometimes I could, like, since I was only black cop in the department, I would pull people over. And then sometimes they'll get like a shocked face because they haven't seen, a Black officer before. Like I was only second since 1977 for a Clearfield. So I was only second one.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
ever.
That seems weird.
1977.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
So shocked. Okay.
Yep.
All
So
right.
people were shocked. When I was on accidents, I seen some people in the same culture, shake their head like, what am I doing? And stuff like that. But the real reason is I'm trying to help make people of color feel more comfortable because, some people get pulled over who are a person of color, could be by a white cop, and then they automatically fear them. They automatically are like, and that's just, sometimes it's just how you're raised, right? Some people of color who are raised a certain way, they're more nervous, and I just kind of wanted to, when I'm doing traffic stops, kind of break down that nervousness and say, hey, I'm here for you. And then also I have the social work values. So I kind of do something. I'm here to educate you. I'd rather educate someone than, give them a citation, make their life. I mean, if they deserve it, they're going to get a citation, right?
Sure.
But just educating them is kind of why I wanted to get in. Education's big.
Those are two fields that seem like oil and water sometimes, though.
Mhm.
Don't you think? Like, I mean, I don't know if you'll have some opportunities to see how Jeff and I interact with officers,
Right.
and I don't know. It takes a good month or two for them to start like coming around to us, but usually we're pretty friendly,
Oh, yeah.
You mean they greet us with a little bit of suspicion? Like we're hug-a-thugs?
Oh yeah, for sure. At first, we're like scum of the earth. We're like lower than the clients. Like
Look at these bleeding heart.
yeah, losers. But then we come around and it's nice. But I think we've noticed at least with some of the interns and then therapists that we work with, that when they do work within an institution, they do work with officers, they can't reconcile the differences. Like it is a needle you have to, that you have to thread kind of carefully, because I don't know, we will see like an example I look at is sometimes when inmates were being, quote unquote mistreated by officers, Sure. And I don't know, I wasn't, and what I've realized is they just have a different relationship, and therapists would like call them out on that. This is an injustice. We need to make it. I'm like, dude, you're not going to change anything. Like, who are you going to go talk
corrections,
to?
brother.
Yeah, who are you going to go talk to? Yeah, and then we would try to say, hey, you can do that, but it's not going to change anything. You're part of the problem. I'm like, no, it's just like you gotta one thing at a time, like, absolutely. Yeah. And it would lead to a lot of conflict. And then I don't know, people just said, well, I will not stand for this. And they'd leave. I'm like, okay, well, see you later. It is definitely that's not a very compatible field. So that's cool that you wanted to meld those two things together. And I think that's right. Like, I don't see why, even in a lot of the strategies that we train officers on are just doing things like that to kind of ease that, and make it so it's not so harsh.
No, definitely. And I think that's a huge thing. I always say my biggest weapon is not my gun, it's my mouth, right? So just learning different tactics, even from therapists, or even will make the, law enforcement and social work kind of mesh. But you're right, there is it can be conflicting at times, and I'm trying to find a way to mold that together where it can actually kind of work as a team. It's kind of the goal, but it is hard, and it's going to take steps and progress to make it there. But
yeah, absolutely. And actually just one quick word on the weird little marriage between corrections and mental health. So I started in this. Oh, thank you. Thank God. Got my dog guy.
You got to keep his hands busy.
Yeah. I was feeling off. I didn't know what it was. So I started up at Northern Utah Community Correctional Center. You'll hear it called Nuke. I don't know if you've heard of Nuke or know what that is. Halfway house in Ogden.
Okay.
Yeah. I started there in 2005 as an intern, and it was contentious. So they'd have treatment team, which was the therapists and then the correctional officers.
Right.
And, we'd meet around a table and discuss the residents of the program. And it always felt like the client was on the operating table, and the mental health team were the doctors trying to resuscitate the dude to keep him from getting rolled up and sent back. And then the officers were on the other side, stabbing him, and so it's stabbing him. So it had that vibe to it. And just over time, I have to hand it to AP&P. They have really made a big turnaround on understanding mental health.
Absolutely.
And it feels a lot more collaborative now. Now I feel like it used to be that as a therapist, maybe we were 5% of a decision on clients in our own program. And now they give us 80% a lot of times, unless they straight up break the law. And it's been because I think we have some good people in the right spots that know how to talk to officers.
Right.
They know how to talk to the residents, the clients, and they can hold relationships with both people. And I kind of see you as in a unique position to take up both mantles, because that's literally what you're doing.
Right.
And it's a minute ago I was asking about the reception and how it's been received, and it said you've been greeted with some suspicion a little bit, but the idea is for you to be there to interact with people, for, I guess, people in your own community to be able to see that, that they're, I don't know, what is it that you hope that people, and I guess specifically Black people, get from being able to interact with you as a police officer?
I just hope that the sense of fear, and there's people who are trying to make it better. And then there's people around that are trying to make it better. Cause a lot of, I don't know if I'm the first Black person at the courts, possibly, but just kind of trying to bring diversity, trying to make conversation, show, even sometimes I'll be like, hey, maybe talk to them more, maybe find out kind of where they're from, kind of find their background, just kind of make it more interactive instead of, I only want to talk to you, I don't want to talk to them because of skin color, right? Just kind of make it more interactive with everyone. It's kind of what I'm trying to push for. And as I'm working in the courts and stuff, I'm seeing there's a lot more, I would say Ogden is more diverse. So there's been times where that's been happening and people are having conversations, and I just love seeing their reactions. And there's not a lot of fear. I don't think when people deal with law enforcement, they should feel that there's fear. They should feel like, okay, he's here to help me. They're here to help me. She's here to help me, type of deal. So that's another big thing that I kind of hope to see. And it's not just the constables. It has to be everywhere else that want to do that. But everywhere else doesn't always have an African-American or a Hispanic, right? So maybe it's just taking some ideas or kind of noticing how people are doing things or watching how I do things to kind of help out with other departments in that way.
Dude, I mean, best case scenario. So if you're the second black guy since 77 or whatever you said in Clearfield, wild. Like, I mean, maybe if like some, teenage kid sees you and sees that you're not just steady hauling everybody off the gel or beating them up, and maybe that inspires somebody. And then, the third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh black guys that join the force will maybe come in the next few years, not 3 more decades.
Right. Well, also, like you said something earlier that I thought was, that I think a lot of people miss. So it's easy, you'll see, do you ever watch any like YouTube videos, like police activity or donut operator or anything like that?
I heard a donut operator.
Yeah, police activity. Those are just people getting shot. Jeff and I watch them all the time. So, and the simple answer to a lot of these is, well, why didn't you just comply, right?
Absolutely.
And I was like, okay, well, yeah, of course. Why don't you just comply? That's the one thing I would say, though, is what you were saying earlier is like, well, if you were raised a certain way your entire life, and that was reinforced over and over and over again,
absolutely,
and then you just had the instance, and I mean, think about that. Like I've never been pulled over ever. I've been pulled over a few times, but I've never been pulled over and thought, oh, I'm going to get killed. You know what I mean? Never has that gone through my head.
Right.
So I've never been worried or acting as if I was going to get killed. Now, if I thought I was going to get killed, I'd react in a completely different way. And so I think sometimes it gets like short-sighted to just say, well, why don't you just comply? Well, yeah, but if I thought I was going to get killed, I'm not going to comply with you either, though. Like, because I want to live. So I'm going to behave in a way that looks like it's erratic. And then, yeah, these become, justified shootings, of course, at times, but it's unfortunate because I mean, of course, I don't want the officer, I don't want anybody to die, but I don't want the officer to die. But it's like, damn, like, could something have been done in the meantime to prevent that from happening? And yeah, something like that sounds like a good cause for kind of getting, I guess, bridging that gap as far as those things go. Absolutely. Because it's not going to be, I mean, it would be, yeah, I just think the narrative going through your head, and it's like, oh, like you said, people give you another look or something, like a second look. It's like, okay, that narrative is broken. Right. And then you can make some inroads. And like you were saying, that can help them. Well, yeah, maybe not all officers are dicks, or stuff like that, which I mean, of course, some are, but some therapists suck. Most therapists suck. Okay. But like,
except for the ones we hire.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I mean, suck, not like their skills. I'm saying just, well, never mind. Yeah. Anyway, that was my horrible attempt at just talking shit on my own kind. Yeah. But yeah, I'd say, yeah, there's assholes everywhere. You know what I mean? In any profession, you're going to run into them, but it's nice, for a lot of the clients we work with, that for them to know, yeah, not all of them are like that, and not everybody has to be that way. And then, that way the next interaction doesn't have to be that, critical to the point where it turns into something that's ending somebody's life.
Absolutely. Yeah. Totally. Mm-hmm.
So, before we, I guess, get on to the mental health aspect and some of the wild stuff you have to do, like I just wanted to make sure that if you, is there anything else you want to say, even on your motivation for signing up, or kind of the cultural reasons, or creating a new narrative?
Let's see here. I've just always, been interested in it, and even though I'm not necessarily on the road, I hope to be on the road in some type of way again, but just help more people out. Really, I just love both and hope to combine both to kind of do something that not many people have done before.
And yeah, it's pretty unique, man, because the other piece, and what initially made me think that you'd be a good guest is, I'm repeating this for the sake of the listeners, but you were at our CBISO training and got to talking, and you said you had a podcast. So sure enough, I listened to it. What's it called, real quick, for listeners, your podcast?
So the podcast is called My Life as an Adoptee / Underdog, and it's on Spotify. Pretty easy to find.
Nice.
Yeah. And so that'll be in
the show notes too. I'll put a link to it.
Oh, good idea.
Perfect.
So I've listened to a few episodes, and I listened to the one about you going through the training academy. Any stories you have from that might be fun. That was a fun episode to listen to. But the one that particularly caught my mind was this call you got on with somebody that was suicidal, and you had to go into both cop mode and therapist mode.
Oh yeah.
And look, like that is a highly unique skill. Earlier you said that your best weapon's your mouth, and like your ability to like talk people down, but like you naturally, you have a very calming voice. Like during the training, we were talking about how good you would be at that progressive muscle relaxation training. You got, like
put people to sleep.
You got a voice for radio, man. But there's this idea that, you know, and I guess they have these MCAT, I think they're called MCAT teams. MCAT, thank you. Mm-hmm. And the idea is that a therapist goes out on a call, I believe, with police officers to try to, you know, ply our trade and de-escalate people that the police officer in their, I guess, somewhat more limited than a therapist in de-escalation. Absolutely. You know, it's kind of like we can try to intervene before, you know, cops have to get involved and go to their belt and things get nasty. And, you know, I'm pretty decent at calming people down and talking people down and everything. It's just, I feel wholly unqualified to go out to like a domestic disturbance and, you know, talk down some dude that's, you know, 12 beers deep and is got a knife to his wife's throat or something. I don't know. Like we'll get into your video in a minute, but can you just speak to like, is that intersection possible for like therapists to go out on these calls, or I don't know how to conceptualize that.
I would say, you know, the MCOT team it's an amazing thing, and that's kind of the difference, right? Like therapists are there to kind of help out and kind of assess the situation, see what they can do the most, and sometimes if it's like you said, that situation with 12 beers down, knife to the head, that's probably not going to be talked down, right? That's probably going to be now the law enforcement side, got to call the SWAT team and all that good jazz, and maybe you got to take him out, right? So, but having that therapist there to kind of, you're showing you want to do everything that you can possibly do for that person, right, before taking a life of anybody. Mm-hmm. That's kind of what I learned from law enforcement. Do everything you possibly can that you're able to before, you know, if you have to take a life, you have to take a life, or if eventually he drops the knife, he eventually drops the knife. But I think it's pretty cool as well, because as a therapist, all police officers have, well, on the road, pink sheets, but that's the only sheet that they have.
Explain what that is.
So pink sheet is when you think a person is mentally ill, is a danger to themselves or a danger to others, they're automatically taken to the hospital and held there, and for a social worker to come and talk to them, and they can't get out of a pink sheet. Once you choose to pink sheet them, if they are not compliant, then they're going to get detained and they're going to be brought to the hospital no matter what, because the officer thinks that they're a danger to themselves. Now, the MCOT team, they also have white sheets and blue sheets, I believe. And a white sheet, I believe they can tell the doctor, I want him here for up to a month with a white sheet, but cops don't have that. The therapists have that. And then I forgot the blue sheet. I think
the blue sheet is what we do. We can. It's not really for a designated amount of time. It's usually until they get, stabilized. When we do them, we're mostly doing them at the jail, and they have to be in a pretty bad way. Like a pink sheet, I like pink sheets because the threshold is low. Like as a blue sheet, like on our end, we have to reach a pretty high threshold of making sure that this person has a diagnosed mental illness, that their level of care, you can't treat them in a least restrictive setting. Right. They do pose a significant and grave risk to themselves or others, and that they can't receive it. It's so many bars, but like is on the officer's end, it's like pretty easy. Like you just have to kind of do one of those things so the therapist, when you're working with the MCOT team, obviously in certain circumstances, it's probably not appropriate for them to be there, but they don't just get in the way. I mean, like I always thought therapists, God, what are we? But
That's what I would have thought too.
Right. they actually do help like in a lot of the situations then.
I think so. I mean, when I was on with Clearfield, I only called MCOT team once. But by the time my shift was kind of over, and we just decided to pink sheet them, because the response time also, you have to understand that they're coming from wherever they live. They're on call, right?
Is that how that works?
I believe so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do they have like an MCOT mobile?
That's what I'm.
MCOT mobilize.
That'd be pretty cool. I'm not 100% sure. I still want to find more information about how the program runs. But if they didn't, that was kind of one of my ideas. Since I'm EVO trained to drive a vehicle in Utah, you have to be an emergency vehicle. You have to be EVO trained. What if the MCOT team had lights and sirens, and then I could be the one to kind of take therapists out? But at the same time, it's like you have to kind of work out a deal with the post. It's like a big idea that I have that I'm brainstorming to kind of do part-time or something.
I'll bet they'd like that. They just roll up in their Yaris and they're like, I'm here. Because I was listening to Rogan's podcast, and he was there was a story, I can't remember the name of the guy, but you probably recognize it when I tell you. So he was at a Wendy's drive-through, and he was passed out, so he's intoxicated, right? And then the police officers attempted to wake him up, obviously, and then he was going to go to jail. And then as a result of that, I think there was a struggle. He tried to steal the police officer's taser, and they shot him, right? And he died. And Joe Rogan's like, well, why didn't you just send a social worker there? I'm like, me?
I remember that.
You want to send me to that? Dude, I'd screw that up more than anything. Like but so certain situations, yeah, but there is also and I know you know which one I'm talking about. It was a police activity video where this guy got shot. He was a guy, lived with his mom, and the officer she came to the house and really it escalated it unnecessarily. Like there's a lot of those situations where yes, it was a justified shooting. The guy did pose a threat to the officer's life, and and they did shoot him. But then I was like, yeah, but I feel like if I was in it, I could have talked him down, and it didn't need to go there. You know what I mean?
Pride got in the way.
Just a few little tiny. Oh, she shot the mom too. Remember that? Like, cause she missed and shot the mom and him. And
have you seen this video? Do you know the one we're talking about?
I don't think I've seen that one.
Yeah.
I mean, Monday morning quarterbacking is always fun and convenient for us, but I would think that the MCOT would maybe be equipped to deal with something like that particular situation. Because the guy was being defiant. He wasn't cuffing up, but like, if I remember the situation correctly, could have waited for backup. Are you finding it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll see if I can figure it out.
No, yeah.
And then you, talk through this while I'm looking that up.
You got it. So, earlier you were saying that like you've always wanted to be a therapist, and so like the becoming a cop was like a stop along the way, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I mean, like the cliche answer to what got you into this is I want to help people, and that's probably true. Like what really has driven you to be so you told us what made you want to become a cop. What makes you want to become a therapist?
Just kind of, I just think my personality, my talent, the way I can talk to people, the way I like helping people reach their fullest potential on their journey. And everybody has a different journey, right? And just helping somebody find a way to have their success, even though no matter what is bogging them down, is kind of a huge thing to why I want to become a therapist. I just love listening to other people's stories and kind of helping them reach their full potential.
I see that. So the one areas of your podcast I haven't gotten into yet is the adoptee portion of it, and I don't know if I didn't even ask you before the podcast if you were cool going into that. is there something, anything along the way to where like a therapist could have been beneficial for you, or maybe a therapist was beneficial that you're like, damn, I want to do that?
Yeah. Also, a big thing is for adoptees, right? One day I want to be able to help other adoptees, like going through a bachelor's, the program, and master's program and stuff like that. I noticed that there's not really classes that talk about adoptees, that specialize in adoptees. And I kind of did actually a little project on it, and I found out that there's over 120,000 adoptees yearly, and that's a pretty big portion of our world. But there's not a lot of therapists that specialize in adoptees, right? So just being there for adoptees, because they go through a lot of mental health issues that people who adopt don't realize that they're going through that. Like I didn't know that I was going through stuff that I did, and it could have stemmed from, not having that first connection with your birth mom that a lot of other people had, because at 9 months I was taken, put in foster care, and then adopted eventually. So you're missing out on that connection. But I want to be there to create more programs to help adoptees as well eventually. So that's another big reason why I got into becoming a therapist as well.
So you were you were adopted at 9 months?
Yeah. So,
and how long were you in foster?
So it was kind of a unique situation. So the foster care, so my mom, my adopted mom, so she did foster care, right? So she was doing foster care with foster children. So that's kind of so I was in a house setting for my foster care, and then she decided to adopt me. And
okay.
So that's kind of how it kind of worked out. So eventually she just, out of foster care, just adopted me into her family.
Was that the plan, or like did she she had a connection with you that, because like that makes sense, because a lot of times foster they foster parents stay foster parents for a while, and kids kind of cycle through and everything. And so your foster mom, just boom, connection, huh?
Yeah, I think so. And that's how I was adopted. Otherwise I could have been probably cycled through, or because that's what kind of happens.
Dude, I mean, you're mentioning it and you're saying that there's not a lot of therapists specific to adoptees. And I'm just kind of recognizing in the moment, like, oh yeah, you're right. Like I don't even know that I've heard of. And again, me not hearing of something doesn't mean much, because I'm pretty isolated in this forensic social work area. But yeah, it's not really something I've heard of. And I would imagine that both for you and then also the person that adopts you, teaching them how to deal with, like maybe teaching them about attachment, and and the way that attachment works, disinhibited, all those different things. That could be. Yeah, pretty beneficial. So did any of that have, I guess, I don't know how much of with it being part of your podcast, makes me wonder, like that must have been influential in either pushing you towards the mental health or the cop side, or both.
Oh yeah. So that pushed me to kind of both sides. Afterwards, just trying to help more people like me, because a lot of people are not, like, there's 4 things that adoptees struggle with, and that's love, trust, abandonment. They can feel like they're alone a lot. And I forgot the 4th one off the top of my head, but that's kind of what all adoptees deal with.
Love, what, and abandonment?
Trust, and abandonment, like feeling love from somebody, and that's just goes back to that connection that you had with, or even how you grew up, just depending on the adoptee, right? So I met a lot of adoptees who were going through the same thing. Like I talked to a lot of adoptees. There's actually a lot of adoptees in Utah, to be honest. There's quite a bit, and they said that they relate a lot to the podcast, and never realized that could have been a reason. But I didn't learn that until I did 6 months of therapy with the lady who specialized in EMDR, and then she wanted to know more about adoptees and took adoptees and then specialized more into that to try to help adoptees. And you never really hear about therapists who specialize in that area.
Right. I mean, Mace, you've spread your wings a little more in the field with it. Weber Human Services. Do you know much about therapists specializing in issues specific to adoptees? Because I hadn't really That's never really occurred to me.
I mean, maybe on the youth side, yeah, they probably do to some degree, but not nothing in particular. No,
Doesn't stand out, does it? Yeah.
I tried to find that video, by the way, but I can't. I can find a bunch of people commenting on it,
But not the actual video.
not the just because police activity has nothing. It just has what it is. So we'll skip it for now.
Yeah, I mean,
I
maybe
won't watch
that's
these videos anyway.
Yeah, good a time as any to jump into this. So this is so I haven't seen this. Mace hasn't seen this. This is all you narrating us through it, and then, so tell us what we're about to watch. And again, you have to just tell Mace how to navigate and what videos to go to, and you're in charge.
Sure. So the first video is kind of us kind of approaching the house, right? But before that, we had to kind of come up with the game plan, because initially the other law enforcement agent, because there's a difference between civil and criminal, and this was kind of a civil case at first, but when it comes to a barricaded subject, now turns into a criminal, right?
It's a barricaded subject. Okay.
So essentially, he's in his room, and does he have a weapon?
Yeah. So he's in his room. All the information we had was he's in his room. We don't know which room. He's a military veteran, has a loaded handgun. That's kind of all the details we had. I had to look up. That's all we had, right? So I had to look up I did a Google Earth image of the house, kind of make up a quick game plan. Because I did a search warrant when I was on patrol before, and I kind of just used the ideas that I had to.
You Google Earthed it before coming up on the scene?
Yeah. So I Googled, well,
that's
3 hours,
good,
3 hours before, like we had 3 hours to plan and prepare it to.
So at least you knew kind of what was going on.
So you're like staging.
Yep. Pretty much staging everything.
Okay.
So this right here is video number 1, right?
Yeah, this is video number 1. So
arriving. This is your body cam footage. Is you arriving on the scene?
Yeah. And then we're probably going to be walking towards the house.
You explain that the sun can't come in.
This is another deputy talking right now.
Okay.
And then I think we're just telling the son kind of what we're going to do
Until
and telling him to stay in his
we
car.
secure the
Don't
gun.
come in yet.
Is the son?
The veterans.
Oh,
the veterans' son.
secure the
So he
veterans'
was
son.
there. All their family was there. The main reason he didn't want to leave because it was his house. He's been there his whole life, but he sold it. Like their family sold it, and he changed his mind. And he didn't want to leave.
Oh. So did people try to move in?
Yeah. So
Did you know this at the time? Like walking, like, do you have this information
I
right
did
now?
not know that. So I got that information once I kind of got there and kind of learned kind of what we're rolling with, kind of the background story of this, kind of just going like I'm running courts, and then all of a sudden we get called for, hey, there's an eviction, barricaded subject. Are you guys interested? Sure. Yeah, let's jump on that.
Can you say no to that?
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, nah.
Dude, this is where you and I aren't cut out for this, dude.
Yeah.
Like, can you imagine rolling up to it?
Like, dude, if you said, "Hey, there's a barricaded subject," we're like, nah.
Yeah, he's cool in there.
Yeah, he's not harming anybody.
Yeah.
I tell those people to wait.
And honestly, we're pretty nervous. So if you just want to stop it right here for a second.
Yeah.
So we're gonna be walking towards the house, and all I knew for the layout is that there's entry, and then there's an exit point in the back side of the house. The right side was just kind of fence line. The left side had a bunch of windows, but the top one was like an attic with a window. So we didn't know where the veteran was exactly. No one knew until we got into the house, and then we kind of cleared, and then finally we could hear his voice when we did call outs and stuff.
So you're going in blind.
Yeah, it's kind of like we call it a shit show.
Yeah.
Do we get to see you like kind of go through the process of clearing it?
Yeah.
Okay. You got a vest on, I'd imagine.
Oh yeah. Vest on, everything.
Dude, this would be scary. You ever watch that movie Rambo: Last Blood, where he sets all those traps for people coming in? Imagine you walk in there, it's a Home Alone's type thing.
And then we just drew our guns here. We're kind of walking fast because there's the upstairs window.
You didn't want him to be able to see.
Dude, I'd be out right here. Like, like, no way am I going to the house.
And then the thing is, all the doors were locked, right? So they gave us a key to the homeowner that got the house sold to them. We have that key. I'm trying to open up the door. The dude changed locks on a lot of the doors.
Well, that tree's looking good.
Oh, yeah.
What's that?
Deputy Dunley, Provo City Constable,
Got a good cop voice, bro. You can. You got a therapist voice and a cop voice.
Make yourself known.
And then in this situation, you can pause if you want real fast. In this situation, so the house is now the courts, right? It's now the owners. So really, it's not the dude's house anymore. So
technically, is he trespassing at this point then?
So technically he is. And I was trying not to make myself known, but the other agency was like, hey, aren't you going to make myself known? So I just did it real quick. But initially I didn't want to because, I don't know where he is. If he hears me, I just gave up my location. Right. That was my thinking, but they didn't know the game plan either. So they're kind of like, well, they just arrived, right? So I didn't have a lot to say to them. We were kind of just going. I was like, here's the quick deal. We're just going to clear this house, go from there kind of deal. And then so initially, if I ever did that again, I would not make myself known in that session because it's not his house anymore.
Well, because usually I always like those courtesy knocks where they're like, sheriff's office, and they barricade it open. I'm like, what if I was going to answer?
Yeah.
Like,
just standing in the doorway, get blasted.
Deputy Constable, make yourself known, or we're coming in.
Yeah, the key for it, huh?
Right.
No barricade needed.
Nope. And then apparently the key didn't work.
Oh, nice.
As you can tell.
Did you guys end up having to kick it in?
Nope. We just went around to the back to check the other door. If
you left the back open?
That he didn't fix that lock.
Okay.
So the rest of this video is just you guys getting into the house, yeah?
Right. Pretty much. So if you can skip through a little bit and kind of see it clearing if you want, or go to the next one.
So here's where you were coming up on the doors. Is this where you're actually having a conversation with the guy?
Yeah, so I'm actually having a conversation. So basically what I'm trying to do is, on his mind, we call it the OODA loop in law enforcement. Have you guys heard of that? So basically you just want to kind of throw his mind off and shit. This is my first barricade subject. So I'm like, all right, I'm just going to talk to this dude and see, just have a conversation.
OODA loop. Let me see how I do. Observe, orient, decide, act. Does that sound right?
Something like that.
Well,
I have to look up again.
I think I'm right.
Right.
So like the idea is like, but the OODA loop is like the process anybody goes to when something goes down. So it's like if someone bursts through this door with an axe, like first I have to see like, oh, there's a guy with an axe. Then that's the observe. Then I have to orient to it like, damn, this is a deadly threat.
Yeah.
Then decide, do I close the distance and take him down? Do I throw Mace in front of me so he hits Mace? And then act is when I make that decision. Exactly. But before I get to act, that process, it slows me down. And
wait, where's the loop part?
Where's the loop part?
So I can explain.
Is that an acronym?
Yeah.
So it stops at OODA.
So the loop part, is when you're actually talking to a person, right? So they're thinking of, right? They're thinking, he was just thinking, I'm getting my life, yada, yada. But saying something that stops that thought process is kind of the loop. So saying, oh, I'm going to talk about dogs. Like, I'm pretty sure we talked about dogs. We talked about video games.
Oh, just kind of getting his mind off.
Got you.
So that's kind of the loop. But you're right. The OODA loop, the OODA, what you're kind of explaining, that's that. But when you're dealing with somebody, you try to stop their thinking.
Okay.
In a way. But in that case.
It's like distraction techniques kind of.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
And then you can.
What if you had to? What if since the homeowners now, they're going to do something else with it, but there's other places that you can stay. You know that, right? Yeah, there is. I can help you with that.
And he's probably saying, no, there's no places. I just want to kill myself.
I'm telling you, I can get you the resources that you need and point you in the right direction.
So that's what he's saying.
Yeah.
You can't hear. Okay.
Yeah, you can't hear him quiet.
Could you try it?
Because he's across the hall in his room, locked his door.
And I understand that.
And we actually had to pick
But
this door.
unfortunately, due to the homeowners, you can't. And there's other places that you can go.
And then I'm trying to use a voice that's.
What was that?
Yeah, you sound nice.
Caring, nice.
Definitely.
Okay. Maybe.
It's definitely not like when you were knocking on the door, right? No. Yeah, this is definitely much more of, hey, I'm looking out for you. We can get this taken care of.
Maybe we can discuss that outside. Okay.
in the meantime, I notice you're not standing right in front of the door.
Right. So that's a safety thing.
Yeah.
So
It's okay if we can open the door.
And then the other deputy, he's kind of at a side angle.
Okay.
So
Why do you
if
want
he
us to
does
stay
shoot,
out? I'm
it's
just trying to
gonna
help
go
you.
straight. It's not going to hit either of us.
Because that door wouldn't do much to stop a round, would it?
No, no. Mm-mm.
Oh, you're trying the lock.
Yep, I'm trying to. But he changed that lock. So eventually we switched sides. And
Dude.
He actually picked it. So he was able to crack the door open more so we can hear better.
Isn't that the deadliest part when you're going through a threeshold like this?
Yes.
Fatal funnel, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm. And this was a tight space, and we found out what this deputy's standing in right now is the attic, the front window.
So can I give you the resources that you can help?
There,
Can we talk? One-on-one, man-to-man.
Man to man. Yeah, trying to get a relationship with them.
Right.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I got you.
And I understand your frustration.
Dude, this
Empathy?
But
just
I can
seems
help you get the
this just
resources
seems
that you
scary.
need.
No
You know what I
shit.
mean?
It can be.
I know
It can
you
be.
lived a hard life.
The end goal. I'm just
But you
thinking about
shouldn't
the
go
end goal,
this way.
whatever it's going to be. And
I see relationship building. I see kind of the rapport strengthening. I see using empathy, trying to show him that you understand. I've seen all those techniques so far.
Yeah, for the listeners,
Can we talk about
if
it?
you want to see this, just go to our YouTube page and you can see it a lot better.
Can I get you the help that you need? Well, it seems like you do, because I understand that it's hard for you to admit, but it seems like you're going through a lot.
And then this veteran, as I kind of got talked to him more, he was going through medical issues. So he pretty much was like, I only have 2 years to live anyways. And I want to die here because the house meant so much to him because he's lived there his whole life. You know, when he came back on tours, he was there. He just changed his mind. He sold it already, but he changed his mind afterwards. And, you know, he could have PTSD. But the main thing was that he kept on saying was, I got 2 years anyways, 2 years left. I'm going to die anyways. So I'd rather die here happy and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
I was kind of getting him out of that mindset.
And so that's where breaking the OODA loop comes in, is he's got this narrative in his head of I shouldn't have sold the place. I want to die here. I might as well die where I'm happy. And you're trying to jump in before he keeps completing that
Thought process.
Okay.
And then
Yeah, this definitely is a little bit different than like this approach.
We can arrange you a place to stay for 2 months.
Way different
And then
than
we
like a
can find more
traditional
resources to get you going.
than a traditional police officer would have a
Definitely.
So you can
conversation.
live the best life.
Absolutely. And we didn't want to call SWAT until we actually knew that, yeah, this isn't going to go anywhere. We wanted to give the most time, like I said before, do everything you can before the last second.
Like
So
at what circumstances would you just know? Obviously, you don't call SWAT first and foremost, but like at what point do you say, okay, we got to call SWAT?
Time is a factor. So this whole thing took about 3 hours. So time was another factor. I'm pretty sure. I don't remember the time frame that we had, but we weren't going to stay there all night. We weren't going to do that. And if it was getting to be maybe over 4 hours, maybe 5 hours, then a new plan, a new solution had to be it. But it didn't get to that quite, which you know I was grateful for. But initially, when you call SWAT, what they're gonna do is they're gonna get in there, you know, kick down the door. Like it's not gonna. He's either gonna probably kill himself or he's gonna start shooting.
Because none of this would happen if SWAT was called, right? Like they would. It's no BS. They just come in
They
there.
might have a negotiator, maybe, possibly. I know Maria talks about calling, you know, thinking about calling the MCOT team, but from far as what I know, MCOT team is in Davis County. It hasn't spread out, but calling some type of resource to come here, and I was like, well, I think I can keep talking to him for now, trying to get his head out of things. And, you know, he laughed once. That's something that I can, which you can't hear on any of the videos, but he laughed, you know, he was seeming to press out of the suicide talk and stuff like that. But then he'd go kind of right back, and then you go back happy again, and then go back, go happy again. But when he's doing back and forth, you kind of know, oh, that's actually progress.
Right.
It's not actually I don't need the SWAT. I don't need a SWAT yet.
So you could tell at least kind of at this point that he was starting to make some progress to the point where you didn't need to call in SWAT or any other help. You had gained enough of a rapport with him that you could keep moving this forward.
Absolutely. And the next video,
What can I do for you?
my position might have changed.
Should he go to the next video, or is there more on this one to see?
Kind of more of the same on this one.
Yeah, there's each clip's about 10 minutes. The last video is kind of the ending of it.
This one where he kind of
So after that, we got 2 more deputies from the courthouse to come and join us. One of them's actually a veteran, and that was kind of the missing puzzle of
and
what
is he talking to him in this one?
And he's talking to him in this one.
Okay, let's have a.
So after talking to him 2 hours and 45 minutes,
Really want to do this in front of
this
him.
is the 3-hour point.
Oh wow, you're in for the long haul.
He's staying right here with us.
I'm not leaving.
And then we
He won't
kind
go.
of
He's not leaving without his dad.
Is his son involved in this now?
Yeah, so now we brought up the kind of use different tactics, right? So I tried talking to him. I tried everything I could for
And you're
2 hours and
fully
30
prepared
minutes.
to do that in front of your boy.
Time kind of flies when you are just talking and talking.
Oh.
Like
You
I
really
didn't
wanna
know it was 2
do
hours,
this
30
part.
minutes. And then we called them. They showed up. Matt was like, he's a supervisor. And he was like, well, I'm a veteran. I'm going to try talking to him. And then the third tactic was
don't
the
have to
son.
keep making
We're
it
going to
this
bring
way,
his son
though.
up because
We
he
have
doesn't
a-
want to
we
hurt
have
his son,
options
right?
to get you out
Why
right
would he?
now.
Why would he want to shoot your own son?
I'm here to help you get out.
That kinda
I
also
want you to
helped
still be doing
as
stuff.
well. Kind of
Yeah.
changed his
That's
mind
smart.
a little bit as well, because now you got the OODA going. Then now you got to bring someone who's similar to him, veteran. Now you bring a loved one in. So
Yeah.
now it's a little bit. Now his mind's
so
going 3 different places.
multiple different strategies here. So who's talking to him right here then?
So the right, the right side. So that would be
This
his son.
gentleman right here?
That's his son.
That's his son.
Yep.
And then is the officer inside this door?
Nope. So no one's inside. So that what you're seeing is going to be a hallway, and then there's another door which
Oh, okay.
he's barricaded himself.
Yeah,
in.
and so do you. And having you out of it's not going to make life any easier on me.
So is his son talking to him right now?
Yep.
Okay.
So he's talking to him right now.
Oh, Buffer, come on. It's Bruce Buffer. He's
yeah.
pressing buttons on the other end.
Dude, Bruce Buffer's always pressing buttons.
See if I can. Oh, come on, dude.
Well, of course it does that.
I know, right? Dude.
Really want to do.
Okay, here we go.
And so do you. And having you out of it's not going to make life any easier on me.
Damn.
No, it won't.
Do you have any idea what you do to a child when you commit suicide? Do you have any clue what your boy will have to live with? He will relive this moment for the rest of his life. The rest of his life, no matter what you're going through, no matter how bad it is, do you really want to leave that with your boy? I'm a dad too, Sergeant. And the last thing I ever want to do is leave my kids with this. Now, I understand you're sick and you might not make it long. I get it. But don't let this be the last memory your boy has of you. Because this moment right here, Sergeant, that you have complete control over, you will make this the last memory he has of his dad.
And then right now we have 2 guns canted, 2 deputies to the right side, so no one's in the middle of the door.
Come on,
They're
Sergeant,
kinda
let's
to the
just end
side.
this. Let's
So
just be
in case any
done.
fire
Come on
happens,
out.
we'll be able to respond back.
Dad,
It's good. That's helpful to know.
Damn, dude.
No, he's right here.
Dramatic
it's not going to
stuff.
matter if I go back to my car. It's still, if it, you
Are we
do what
looking
you
at your
do,
back?
I still know.
So that would be
It
the
doesn't change the
veterans,
fact.
the back right there.
And you're not going to jail. You haven't broken any laws. Okay?
Is that true? Like,
Understand,
you're not
you
taking
walk
that-
out.
Not true. Okay.
You leave with
Yes,
your boy.
well,
You guys walk
so
out
actually,
that
let me go back on
front
that.
door
So,
like nothing ever happened.
If a
You
person
go.
is going to commit suicide, it's not
Say whatever.
It's not a
You
crime.
go with your son
They can
and you
commit
make what
suicide. They
memories
can
you
do
while you
Yeah.
still
whatever
have
they
time,
want.
Sergeant.
But at the same time, since it wasn't his house anymore, he was criminal trespassing. But
Sergeant,
we're
you
not
have
going to
a
try to
choice.
bring that up, right? We're not going to be
We're
like,
running out
oh
of
yeah.
time,
Otherwise,
boss.
we're just going to go back to where we started. So we're not going to bring up any
He's gonna come
criminal
through that door.
trespass, or we're just
Yeah.
trying to
And all
get
of a
him
sudden-
to
Get him out of the.
No
get
matter
him
what
out of that.
happens,
Get him out of there.
go in custody, you're going to spend some time in jail, and I don't want that. I just want you to walk out the door with Hunter and go enjoy what last little time you have together left.
Whoa.
Come on, Sergeant.
I like calling him by his rank.
Yeah.
Giving him that respect.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that was a piece of the puzzle.
I'd never think to do that. You know what I mean?
I don't want to see it like this.
You remember Hunter when he was like a little
So does he eventually just surrenders? Yeah.
Yes, but we kind of did. It was a kind of interesting tactic. I didn't see that was coming, but we were prepared for it. He kind of was like, "All right, your son and I are gonna walk forward." We knew that his mindset was kind of going down now. Like his son's there, so he's more emotional for his son, saying, "I love you, son." He's kind of having more of a conversation with his son more. So we knew he was kind of coming out of it, but the main factor was, all right, your son and I are walking forward, and we're going to come forward. And after that, after they walked forward, he opened the door, and he's like, all right.
Oh, okay. So you guys just made the executive decision that we're moving forward, and whether you like it or not, this is what's going to happen.
That had to have been a scary moment because you're putting a lot of trust in your ability to deduce that he's in a different state of mind.
Right.
Wow.
And after hearing kind of his tone and what he was saying, he already told us a lot of times, I'm not going to do anything to my son. I'll never do anything. So that was kind of why we were like, all right, well, your son and I are moving forward. And before that, he's like, no. And then he's like, okay. And then they kind of just moved forward, and then we all followed through after that. And he's already opened the gun. He put the handgun on the windowsill or something like that.
You could see that he surrendered his gun before.
We couldn't see because the door was closed, but he said, all right, I'm putting my gun away. You guys can come in. And then we took the gun, unloaded it, took the chamber out, and then he collected his stuff. And we were like, we're proud of the decision we made. We never made him feel bad for what he was doing, right? We were like, we're proud of the decision you made. You chose to, live your life the best that you can instead of, taking her, instead of having us call SWAT, and maybe he would have ended his life, or maybe SWAT would have ended his life, or something would have happened.
Yeah, because that would have been, relatively easy to escalate to the point, where, so it's kind of, that's kind of nice to know that, I don't know, heaven forbid any of our loved ones would ever be in a position where, they'd be in something like that.
Absolutely.
It would be nice though, if they had a guy like you trying to talk to him and at least initiate that conversation rather than, I don't know. I just see even some of these videos, you'll see him as like, drop the gun, I'm gonna take you down. Drop the gun, boom, 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 boom. I'm like, geez, it's 2 seconds, dude,
Yep.
And so like sometimes there's like no de-escalation attempts or anything. And you guys, that was a solid 3 hours that you guys spent on helping that dude out, which probably saved his life.
I'm sure.
Right? Yeah.
And the whole time was pressing, and the other law enforcement agency was like, because we're a private law enforcement agency, they're like, well, time's running out. We want to call SWAT. And we were saying, no, don't call it. We're not calling SWAT yet. We said we're going to keep doing this. We're going to keep pressing. But there would have been a point, a time where,
it would have eventually.
He would have eventually just handed it over, and that would have been it.
And maybe somebody with a more, traditional law enforcement mentality without kind of that social work flavor to it would have called SWAT
probably
2 hours prior, right? Like they would have said, okay, screw this.
Potentially ended horribly.
Right. Well, it almost definitely would have ended horribly. You know what I mean? Well, at least there was a stronger likelihood of it ending horribly than not, right? At that point.
Man, dude, I think of what you and I do at the jail, talking to clients that are suicidal, and that already feels like some pretty high stakes stuff, and trying to decide if someone's suicidal or not. And then we have the luxury of having, like, the clients are most certainly unarmed, and there are officers everywhere. We're very safe, and so
you usually talk to them through a cuff port.
Yeah. Our adrenaline is not actuated, where like it's as safe as it can be and it already feels high stakes. Now I'm trying to imagine having those types of conversations through a door, knowing he's got a gun and he might be a threat to me or himself. And it just adds, I don't know. That's impressive what you guys did, man. That's a whole extra level of, well, I mean, like training is cliche to say, but I mean, it's got to be training plus something innate in you. Mm-hmm. And I mean, all the officers did good.
Well, it comes down to, like, cause we will, like when we train therapists, sometimes we'll go through this and you saw some of this during our training. Mm-hmm. I try to nip it like before we get there. Like I'll tell them, hey, if you have a bad attitude about this, it's for sure not going to go very well. Yeah. And the therapists who tend to not do very well with things like role play, where they get really frustrated with doing role plays and stuff like that with clients, mm-hmm. and they have the attitude like, well, this ain't going to work. And I'm like, well, yeah, for sure. If you have that attitude, but like, have you ever ran a role play group that didn't work?
My clients love my role play groups.
Never. I've never ran one that didn't go, but it's because I'm digging it and I'm enthusiastic about it too. Mm-hmm. And so I think they set the tone for that, but that has to go. I mean, I know I've gone through a law enforcement academy for a prison, and they do a ton of de-escalation stuff, right? but I have also heard officers that just say, they're scum. They do this. Like if he says no, I'll just spray him. I'm like, wait, with what? Like, geez, there's not another step there. Negotiate, just spray him with OC and call it good. You know what I mean? So I think that you can train all you want, and some people will struggle with ever just attending to it and wanting to implement some of the skills that are known to be effective. And I think people on the criminal side of things will always not be given the benefit of the doubt. Yeah. It'll always be turned into, well, had you not been doing this, then this wouldn't need to happen in the first place. Damn the approach. But it seems like, I mean, if you had just any inclination and a little bit of consideration and some skills, well, yeah, you can talk your way out of some of these things, and then nobody has to die in the process.
I mean, that's 3 hours well spent, dude.
Yeah, that's 3 hours. Yep.
That's super cool.
Because, like, I mean, I get what you're saying, though. There are some officers that do have that attitude, the whole, you should have thought of that before you committed your crime, or the kind of, and just sort of the zero tolerance for it. And I don't know. I don't know if that can be trained out of it. It kind of takes coming into the police force or, forensic social work, mm-hmm. already maybe having the predisposition that you're willing to tolerate some level of bullshit, that you're willing to accept that some people, you're catching them at their worst moment. I can think of myself at some of my lowest moments. I don't know how rational I've been before. Right. And yeah, it's just like,
it's basically like every Tuesday.
Yeah. Every Tuesday I need to be talked off the ledge.
It's a new low.
Twice as low as last week.
Just when he wakes up. He's like, God.
I still have red hair. Shit. Not again. Yeah. There's definitely a predisposition for it. And, and I've said that with therapists before as well, is that like, some therapists have a natural talent for it. And so, you can teach them the skills that we teach in the CBI trainings or whatever it is. And, anybody can do an imitation of a therapist, and they can, right. Talk about a behavior chain or, talk about a social skill. They can use all the same words that an effective therapist does, but it's just not the same as when you have somebody that has a passion for it, mm-hmm. and an ability. And again, like with you, a silky smooth voice. I mean, that helps too. Yeah.
It does help a lot. It does help a lot.
Yeah, that's why I wondered how I even do. Like, your voice is nice too. People like your voice. It's like gravelly and stuff. Yeah. I'm like, dude, I don't know how anybody likes my voice. I got the shittiest voice on planet Earth. Like,
kind of nasally.
I know. Like, kind of high pitched.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah, it's almost like borderline nerdy. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like,
you don't have to even try to do the nerd accent. It's just natural.
Well, I do a really good nerd accent, but I'm just saying,
you do have a top shelf nerd accent.
Yeah, for sure. But at the same time, though, like, yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's fun to laugh at, though. That's what I feel. I feel people are laughing at me, not with me, which I'm fine with.
Yeah, as long as they're laughing.
As long as I get chuckles, that's all that matters. Right. So,
No,
Well, yeah, man, that's awesome. We'll, I think we'll probably have to have you come on again if that's cool.
Of course. I'm definitely down.
Or we'll do some podcast swapping and be a guest on your show too.
Absolutely,
Awesome.
Some good stuff. And I'd say definitely after you get some internship under you and then you do some actual stuff with clients, and then that'd be a good time to revisit this, don't you think?
Oh yeah, I think so.
Beautiful. Yeah,
Cool.
let's catch you midway through your internship. Huh?
Oh yeah. Because it's gonna be interesting. Law enforcement side, right, and then the therapist side, having to switch modes pretty much. But
I don't think it's going to be a problem for you, man.
Yeah, but see, and then we can come up with a better MCOT team.
Yeah, there we go. That's what we're going to work on.
And we'll call it the Justice League.
Yeah. Good idea.
That's been used before. Cool. Well, what's the name of your podcast again, man?
Definitely. The name of my podcast is My Life as an Adoptee / Underdog, and basically I tell about my life experience in law enforcement, just my story in general. I also read books too to make it more kid friendly and stuff like that.
Cool. Okay, so everybody listening, subscribe, go check it out, give them a couple of listens and everything, and then we'll see you guys back next time.
Perfect.
Cool. Thanks, man. And that's a wrap, folks. Thanks for swinging through the jungle of forensic clinical treatment with the Guerrilla Social Work Podcast. We hope you enjoyed exploring the psychology behind crime and therapy with our fearless hosts, Jeff Ginger Nymph Moore and Mace Warren, the dynamic duo of psychotherapy in the criminal justice system. But before you go, don't forget to hit that subscribe button on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, YouTube, or wherever you get your earfuls of knowledge. And if you're feeling extra generous, share us with a friend, or 2, or 30, or whatever. Help spread the guerrilla warfare tactics far and wide. We'd like to stay and chat longer, but we're lying. Good night.